What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Hit Q-Tip. We're in a different space, different setup today. But we're going to bring you the same type of content. We're going to talk about the WNBA playoff race and how close everything is, and just to talk about how exciting it's been over the last couple of weeks of just seeing teams basically chase each other and chase for basically the second seed and then chase for that last eight seed. So before I start, I'm going to say like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things. It is free to subscribe. It is free to like. I appreciate all the support so far. We are now at 23 subscribers at the time I'm recording this, so I appreciate everybody that has subscribed so far. And if you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so we're gonna start with the number one team right now. Well, number one team all season. The Minnesota Lynx are 28-5 on a six-game winning streak. Most of those without their best player and their likely MVP, Nafisa Collier. They've been phenomenal all season long. Number one in defense, number one in offense, for back-to-back years, really. So, really, this isn't super surprising, but it is still super impressive what they've been able to do with the amount of teams that are the amount of teams that are really good. I would say there's about 10 teams that, or nine teams, I guess, from night to night on a night to night basis that is not just an easy out. Um, Obviously, the bottom teams, you can kind of feel a sense of the games being easier, but 2 through 10, I don't think are easy games, and they've beat the Liberty three times. They beat the Dream. They beat everybody, so there's really no reason to go through. But just want to give a shout out to them for sure. Shout out to Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride. They've been phenomenal since Fee went down offensively. Alana Smith has stepped up big time. She's been a great defender for the last 2 years for the Lynx, so that's not surprising either. She should be all defense, in my opinion. Um, yeah, but we'll drop down to the Dream, who are 22-12. They're currently with the second spot with the Liberty on a two-game losing streak at the moment. Um, and then you got Phoenix right below them at four with 20-13. So um, actually, and even the Aces are on a seven-game winning streak. They have a chance to move up as well. They're really close. Um, the 2 through 5 is only a game and a half apart. So the Dream have been really good all season, pretty consistent. Even when Ryan went down, they missed Brittany Griner for some time too. Jordan Canada's gone down twice this year with a few different injuries. Started the season and now this last stretch of games. But they've been really good. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've done a good job of beating the teams that are near them and around them. So they deserve a lot of credit. Alicia Gray, in her own right, is the MVP candidate. I still think she's number two in terms of MVP ladder. I know some players like Alyssa Thomas and Asia Wilson have had some really good stretches of late with triple doubles and 30-point games and double doubles and things like that. But I think Alicia Gray deserves credit for being that consistent all season. Um, the Liberty have lost two straight, both of those to Minnesota. Um, no, actually, I don't remember both of those to Minnesota, but they've lost a few to Minnesota over the past couple of weeks. They played them again this week. So we'll see how that game goes. They played them without Fee and without them having Stewie. So I would say it's been pretty even, honestly. Sabrina Ionescu's been their most consistent player all season. She's been the player that's been the most healthy outside of like Natasha Cloud, who's I think has been there for every game, maybe missed one. And then they brought in Emma Smith, who has given them a spark, but they're clearly still missing Brianna Stewart. And that just goes to show how good of a player she is. But I think they really miss her in that Lynx matchup, um, and definitely with the Aces as well. Those are the two teams that like they really, really need her for. Is like you need her for that Fee matchup, and you need her for that Asia Wilson matchup, and not even that she's gonna like play them 1-on-1, but just like being able to have her as the help defense or that backside defense against those two. Um, as for Phoenix, they've held pat. I feel like they haven't been phenomenal, but they've been good enough to stay where they're at in the four spot. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Satu still hasn't been back to her all WNBA level that she was at the beginning of the season. Kalia Copper is getting better and better in terms of um, being able to play and like getting past the injury. Alyssa Thomas has been phenomenal, like I said earlier, multiple triple doubles. over this recent stretch of games, but not all of those have been leading to wins. So I think they need to figure out what exactly is the best for them and what helps them win the most. Because when you get to the playoffs, you're going to need more than just Alyssa Thomas getting triple doubles. The Aces are on a 7 game winning streak. They've been looking like probably the second best team in the league over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Um, they've beaten some teams like New York. They've beaten Phoenix, beat Seattle. I think they beat Indiana. Um, but yeah, they've beaten some good teams. They've beaten some teams they need to beat. That are were ahead of them or now below them after this recent stretch. They were 14-14 when they started this win streak. So um, Asia Wilson's been phenomenal. She had a 30-17 game a couple weeks ago or a couple games ago. Just been like damn near impossible to stop. Honestly, like it didn't matter what team she's going against, how many post players you have. Like she's been able to find a way to just dominate each game. And Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and Jewel Lloyd, even though she's coming off the bench now, have stepped up and have done their part. Have done just enough. Not even like they have to be phenomenal. They've done enough with what Asia Wilson's been doing to continue to be great. So then you got the Fever at number 6 and 19-16. Um, they've been pretty up and down. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They played a lot of games without Caitlin Clark. So some games they looked really good. Some games you can tell like okay, they're missing Caitlin a little bit here. But I would say all in all, considering the amount of games that Caitlin's missed for them to be 19-16 is pretty impressive. Kelsey Mitchell's been phenomenal. She's looking like potentially a all WNBA first team type of player. She's been like phenomenal. I think she had 38 yesterday. So um, a lot of credit goes to her and Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hole, Natasha Howard, um, Michaela Timpson off the bench. Like they've just found ways to win um, games without Caitlin Clark on the floor, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. Speaking of finding ways to win, Golden State, man, Golden State Valkyries, 7-3 in their last 10 games. I have them, I think, fourth. I think I had them fourth in my power rankings that I posted today on the hoodie and the headband TikTok. Go check that out. Um, I've just been really impressed with them, especially over this last recent stretch where um, I talked about a couple weeks ago where every game is going to feel like a playoff game. And Golden State was one of those teams where it's hard to gauge because they don't have a star player, but they've been phenomenal. Um, in these games, they've blown out the teams that they need to blow out. The games that have been close, they've been able to um, get wins in. I think their most recent loss was Atlanta, but wasn't like a bad loss by any means. I think they've done a really good job of protecting home court. For the most part, they're 10-6. They're 8-10 on the road. They've been shooting the three ball really well as of late, which has helped them win a lot of these games. They're 2 games over 500 and sitting in the seventh spot with the Storm right behind them, 17-18, a game and a half back. In the eighth spot right now, they're 2-8 in their last 10. A really, really rough stretch at the wrong time for the Seattle Storm. Um, very similar to the Aces, but it's just different time. Um, they just have to figure it out, honestly. There's not like a ton that you can just really point to and say, hey, this is what they need to do better. Like they really just got to figure it out as terms of chemistry and just figuring out late game situations, who's the go to when we're running plays, who we're running plays for. Like, oh, there's so many different things that you got to figure out. And this is not the time you want to figure that out because we're not that far away from the playoffs. Um, they've actually played 35 games, so they're 9 games away from start of the playoffs. And they may not even make it because the Sparks are right behind them at 16-18. They've been really good. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Their offense has been great. Defense leaves a little bit to be desired, and that's the problem. That's been the problem with them this season. But they are mostly healthy now, so they have a full roster. And since Julia Allen has come in and Cam Brick has come back, they played at a really, really high level of basketball. I'm curious to see what happens with the 7 through 10 with Golden State, Seattle, Los Angeles, and then the Mystics are right there too at 16-18, tied with Los Angeles. So while some people feel like the Mystics may not be in the conversation, they have they've won the games they needed to win to stay in this conversation. So um, they've beaten good teams. They've beaten teams like Seattle who are ahead of them. I think they beat Indiana as well, who was ahead of them. So, um, I mean, some of these teams are a little bit ahead of them. Like, it's not gonna like catch them up to them, but it's gonna keep them in the conversations with the teams that are directly in front of them, like Seattle and Las Vegas or Los Angeles. Sorry. Um, it's just gonna be really fun to see this stretch run over the next couple of weeks of just teams. I mean, these games are gonna be playoff type settings or playoff type of games. Outside of Minnesota, Minnesota hasn't clinched the number one seed yet because there's too many games left. But they have a 6.5 game lead over Atlanta. Fee still hasn't played in, I want to say, it's a week and a half at this point. Um, and then we got Atlanta, New York, Phoenix, and Vegas who are fighting for that two seed. Who, like I said, it's a game and a half between those four teams. Um, so those games that have those kind of matchups, like those mini matchups, are going to be like mini playoff series. So I'm going to be locked into those games for sure. And then 6 through 10, um, is only 2.5 game difference between Indiana, Golden State, Seattle, Los Angeles, and Washington. Um, it's really just gonna come down to who wants more, who wants to win, who wants to be in the playoffs, who wants to make a run, who wants to get the higher seed, get a better chance in the playoffs. Atlanta and New York have been 2 and 3 for the past couple of weeks. Phoenix has always been in the 2 to 5 range. Vegas has moved up, jumped up. If they can get to number two, that's really, really scary for a lot of teams. Um, and I know there's a lot of teams that are not trying to be in that 4 or 5 spot because you don't want to play Minnesota in that second round. But depending on what happens with that two seed, you may not want the three seed either. So I would say try your best to get that two seed if you're 2 to 5, and then the other teams you just get in. Honestly, like um, hopefully Caitlin comes back at some point. Um, it's just going to make the playoffs even more entertaining. Just gives Indiana a chance to beat really anybody. Honestly, we've seen them beat the Lynx in the Commissioner Cup final without Caitlin Clark in Minnesota. So it's not like Minnesota can't be beaten by anybody. They've just been so good that like you just give them the benefit of the doubt, you know. But as far as like the playoff stretch and the playoff run, like it's already been super entertaining the last week and a half, 2 weeks. We've seen some great games from like Seattle, Las Vegas, Seattle. I keep saying Las Vegas 'cause I'm looking at Los Angeles. Seattle, Los Angeles, Golden State. Like we've seen some games come down to the wire. We've seen Washington go down to the wire a few times. We've seen Dallas go down to the wire, even though they're not in the playoff race. They are making things difficult for teams that are in the playoff race and they're trying to make the playoffs, which I love to see. Um, so yeah, man, just make sure y'all are tuned in with the rest of these games as this ending stretch of the season comes down, or regular season, I should say, comes down to the wire. And we'll see who comes out with the seeds 2 through 10, 2 through 9, 2 through 8. But again, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.